Welcome to Cognitive Connections, where we're dedicated to helping you preserve and strengthen brain health at every stage of life. I'm LalithaShri Shankar, the president and founder of Cognitive Connections. And as a reminder, this podcast is for informational purposes only and is not intended to provide medical advice or diagnosis. Today, we have my yoga teacher with us, and we'll be exploring how the practice of yoga can improve one's brain health. Ms. LalithaShri Shankar is a yoga teacher and the founder of The Myth. She has pursued an MBA in HR, authored two novels, and holds a certification in Yoga Shastra from the prestigious Ayush Ministry of Yoga and Swami Vivekananda School of Yoga. Additionally, she founded The Myth in 2020, through which she teaches yoga to a global audience. Today, The Myth stands as a big yet close-knit family spread across 13 countries around the globe. Ms. Shankar, I'm so excited to have you here, and thank you so much for being on the Cognitive Connections podcast.
Thank you so much, Nandita. It's an honor. It's a pleasure to be here, and I'm so excited to do this with you. Thank you so much for having me in.
Yes, me too. So, to start, can you explain how yoga contributes to brain health and overall mental well-being?
All right. So, if you see the ancient texts and even the Bhagavad Gita, the ancient text of the Hindus, it says that yoga chitta vritti nirodha. That means the cessation of thoughts in the mind, or getting a mind like a clean slate without a single thought. So once you complete your yoga abhyasa or you do a set of asanas, your mind is like a clean slate, and that helps in mental health, because you don't have that backlog of thoughts and you're just in the present. So that way, yoga, as the definition says, it is like no thoughts in the mind. So you're absolutely relaxed and stress free. So that helps in mental health.
That's amazing. I think it's really important that yoga can help mental well-being, especially in the very fast-paced world that we live in today. So, what are also some key ways that yoga can essentially help to improve cognitive function for us?
Right. Okay, so cognitive function, if you see, is the process of absorbing more knowledge into the brain. So before a person does yoga, the mind is always cluttered because we are always living in the past, or we are always thinking about the future. It is a human tendency. So when we do yoga, what happens is the mind becomes, uncluttered and clear, as I said in my previous question, and so therefore there is more space to absorb more knowledge, and thus it helps in cognitive functioning.
That's amazing. So, I think that's again really, really important, especially because cognitive function is a really key part of just about any age. So, whether you're a kid, teen, adult, or senior, improving cognitive function is just about for everyone. So, I think that really highlights how yoga can just be started just about at any age and can be really beneficial. So, can
Absolutely.
any specific yoga poses or sequences help increase focus and mental clarity? And if so, essentially, which ones do you recommend?
Okay, so to start with, if you see in Harappan civilization, the first civilization, that is Indus Valley civilization, that it is called, there were seals found of basic asanas, asanas as in postures, as per Yoga Shastra, and it was there since then. So since time immemorial. So there were like 84 lakh asanas created by the Adi Yogi or Lord Shiva, as per our ancient texts. And each and every asana that the humans have adapted, that is about 84 asanas humans have adapted, and all of them, if done in a proper manner, that is, it is curated in such a way that if you do it with the correct breath and the correct alignment, it helps in improving focus and mental clarity. So that is how it has been made. Yeah.
That's amazing. Thank you so much, especially for the fact that there's 84 poses. I mean, I think that just gives a lot of variety that people can really like pick and choose from. So,
Absolutely.
yeah, how does the practice of breathing exercises influence brain activity and help to reduce stress?
Okay, so the breathing activity is known as pranayama as per Yoga Shastra. Prana means the breath or the vital force of energy that you are taking in, that is your breath. And yama is to control the breath. So there are, again, as I said, 84 lakh asanas. Similarly, there are, umpteen pranayama techniques, different patterns of breathing that help in, relaxing your mind in a different level altogether. So if you see, there is a quote that says, take a deep breath. That means like, take a chill pill, relax, take a deep breath, a sigh of relief. Everything is related to breath when it comes to cooling down. So these pranayamas, again, they are made in such a way that they are scientific, breath patterns that soothe the heartbeat, and it also soothes the mind. And so therefore, deep inhalation, exhalation, or perhaps pauses in them. There are different techniques in which, the pranayama can be done, which does, relax the mind, and it like, cleanses all the toxins from your body also in such a way that your mind is, refreshed. So that is the significant ingredient of Yoga Shastra. You can say the breathing techniques or the pranayamas.
Yeah, the secret ingredient to everything. I think thanks also for the definition of pranayama. I think it's really important that everybody understands, it's actually like two words that are put together, and I think that helped to clear up any confusion there was. So, with that being said, in what ways can yoga help individuals with anxiety, depression, and other mental challenges? Because currently in our world, we're seeing a lot more cases of those appearing. So, is there any way that it can help us?
So first, let's go to the root cause of anxiety, depression, which is very common in kids, in teens, in adults, in everyone, I guess, nowadays. So I think the four main, causes of depression, if you ask me, are maybe incidents, circumstances, overthinking, lifestyle. So I would like to state my example. I took up yoga when I got into a mild depression, when I, was a very new mom, and I was like, all of a sudden, like from a girl, I became a mom. I had a baby in my hand, and it led to some kind of anxiety, and it's like a whole new, transformation. And I was like, what am I going to do? And that led me to depression, and that is how I started with the art of living, Sudarshan Kriya by Sri Ravi Shankar. That is what I started with, and it just changed me completely. Like it was a complete transformation. So yoga neutralizes the state of mind. Everything put together. That is your pranayama, which is your breath control, your asanas, which are your postures, and the dhyana part, which is the meditation. All of this put together, it is like pressing a refresh button of your computer screen. That is what it does to your body and your mind, especially your mind. So again, as I said, no backlog of thoughts. There's a lot of positivity. There's a feel good factor after every yoga session. So what happens is your mind, as and when it's getting rejuvenated and refreshed, there is no scope for anxiety and depression. You tend to accept things. That is how it is. Let's flow with it. That's it. And you're always like in a positive frame of mind. So there is no scope of depression or anxiety. And I have come out of it as a personal example, as I gave you through yoga. Yeah. So yes.
Thank you so much for sharing that personal example. I think that's just so great that you yourself were able to really relate to that and really get out of that stage as well. I think that just shows how big of an impact that yoga can make. And the fact that it can help with, anxiety, depression, and other mental challenges is just really, really important to our society as well. And like I said before, we're seeing so many more cases of that. So if yoga can help, I think it's a great practice for everyone to really take on.
Yes.
So, how does meditation, often integrated into yoga practices, affect our brain chemistry and especially particularly related to stress reduction and even mood regulation?
Okay, so as you have taken this aspect of Yoga Shastra, which is like the most difficult, if you ask me, because people think it's meditation. That's it. You just have to sit idle and that's it, do nothing, right? But that happens to be the most difficult part of the Yoga Shastra because it is like our life is like a factory. Just imagine like you are standing in a factory. There's such a lot of noise around you. There is dirt, there is smoke, there are instructions, there are people yelling, multiple things happening all at one time, right? So it's like when you sit in meditation and do nothing, it's just like you're cutting off from, like, switching off from the external world, and you're shutting off your sense organs. As I said, that is very difficult. But once you learn how to do that, even the basic, like even 1 minute of just try it sometime, just sit idle and just close your eyes, and you're like doing nothing just for a minute, you will feel that there is some penetration, that is, you're understanding your own body, you're connecting with yourself. That causes such a lot of mental clarity, because there is something known as koshas. So this is a very interesting topic. I can go like hours after hours talking about it, but then I'll just give you a brief example. Koshas are like layers in our body. It's just like an onion. So onion peels, it keeps coming layer after layer after layer. So similarly, our body is like starts with the outer layer, which is your like skin and flesh. Then it goes to, it's called annamaya kosha. Then goes the pranamaya kosha, which is your breath, and then ultimately it reaches your soul. So there are some great rishis and people who are into meditative practices, who have realized their soul. They have connected to their soul. So that's a long way to go for a layman. But then to start with, even sitting for a minute, shutting down your senses and forgetting about everything around you makes a lot of difference. So that is the aspect of meditation. Yes.
Yeah, and I think being a yoga student of yours itself, I think I can definitely relate to that. Meditation is probably not the easiest aspect, of class that we have every day. It's probably, for me, like you said, probably one of the harder ones because you really have to just shut yourself from everything else. But the moment that you're in it, it's just so calm. You're just in that moment and you're not thinking about anything else. And I think that's really important. So, does regular yoga practices have an impact on neuroplasticity and the brain's ability to impact and form new neural connections?
Right. So let me start with an example here. It's a very nice question. So just imagine, a tangled wire. Maybe a ball of wool or a wire that is absolutely tangled. Okay. I'll just quickly show you something like, just found this handy. So this is how the brain is before you do your yoga practice. And after your yoga practice, obviously, it's going to be difficult to do it right now. Yeah. So it becomes an absolutely like, sorted, bio or whatever you can say, that the connections that are happening in the mind. So again, one more example known as the kleshas. Kleshas are toxins or impure elements in the brain, as per Yoga Shastra again. Examples of which can be delusion, ego, and so these things. So when you do your yoga practice, combining the three, that is your asanas, your meditation, and your pranayama, the three aspects that we spoke about, it gets rid of all the kleshas or the toxins from the mind. So automatically, what happens is your brain is always rewiring and reorganizing, which is neuroplasticity, right? So that is how yoga contributes, because every time it rewires and it reorganizes your brain, just like the wire, the tangled one to a sorted one. So that is what it exactly does, like the yoga session.
I
Yeah.
think that was an amazing description that you gave, especially with the example of the wire cord. I think how the tangled essentially is how our brain is, especially in the world that we live in. And I think yoga just helps to clear everything out. And the fact that it allows for neuroplasticity, I think is again very important for just about any stage, especially because that can help us prevent, further diseases in the long run. So, are there any studies or research findings that show a link between yoga and improved memory or learning ability?
Right. So there has been a lot of research is done, especially by the Harvard University, that says that a person doing yoga, practicing yoga regularly, has a sharper mind and an improved mood. So that has been proven in the scientific research. So I'm not a scientific person, but this is the basic scientific research that I have learned about even in my yoga texts. And it is very surprising that how the rishis in those days, I mean, ages back, curated this so scientifically, where there were no machines, where there was no technology. I mean, it's just like out of nothing, they just created an asana. Do this asana, and then it's going to sort your mind. So it is very surprising, but yes, the science shows that although they had no technology at that time, it is so scientific. So it has also been said that yoga increases gray matter, that is the volume in the hippocampus, the key brain area for the memory and awareness. And also there is a lot of blood circulation in the brain. So whenever you do an asana or pranayama. So there is a lot of blood circulation in the brain. And we do have inversions, especially, which has been proven to, increase the blood flow in the brain. So there are some asanas like the mountain pose, or if you go to the advanced stages, there are headstands, handstands, and many other asanas that improve the blood circulation in the brain. So that research has been done by the Harvard University, and yeah, that's it. Yeah, it does strengthens the parts of the brain as well. Yes.
That's amazing that there's, research going on in this area itself between the link between yoga and brain health. I think just is another factor that just proves how important yoga is for our well-being. And the fact that it's already been proved by scientific studies just adds more to that. So, how can yoga benefit, especially those with age-related cognitive decline or neurodegenerative diseases, especially like Alzheimer's and Parkinson's? Because just like depression and anxiety, we're also seeing numbers of Alzheimer's and Parkinson's continually increase today.
Okay, so let me start with something, a new aspect of yoga known as the mudras. Okay, so mudras are basically hand gestures. So you need to connect your fingers in a particular way, and it works wonders. Sounds very surprising, but yeah, it does. It does. Because again, as the Rishi said, there are different elements of nature that our body is made up of. So if you see the earth element, the bones and the skin and the hair and the nails is the earth element of the body. So similarly, the fire element is the digestion. The water element, of course, 70% of our body is made up of water. So every finger tip has a particular element connection to our body. Like this is the fire, this is air, this is the sky, this is the earth, and this is the water. So when you connect the fingers in a particular way, especially for the elderly people who cannot do a lot of asanas, all they can practice is some pranayamas using these mudras. So they are like, they send electric signals to the brain. So your nervous system is improvised every time you, hold a mudra for about 10 to 15 minutes. And along with it, pranayama and dhyana or meditation, of course, it's like cherry on the cake. So when you practice such mudras and when you are into this kind of, regime every day, mudra with the pranayama or mudra with the dhyana, for the elderly, I'm saying those who can't do the asanas, it works wonders. It has been proven. These mudras, they are like, they stimulate the pathways of energy, and of course, it improves the nervous system. So if you see the scientific side of it, the sympathetic, nervous system and the parasympathetic nervous system is worked upon, continuously, and there is a great regulation of, these systems. So that's what. So the blood flow to the brain is constantly there. What causes Alzheimer's, Parkinson's? Because blood flow to the brain and the nervous system is not active. So that's what yoga does. So these mudras. So if you have elderly people in your family, do teach them these mudras. So we keep doing mudras every week, and it really helps them. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's definitely a great alternative for seniors, who maybe aren't able to do the most complex poses there are. So really just, taking it simple little by little, especially, sitting down, doing meditation or pranayama and, adding just a couple simple mudras every day. The fact that even that has benefits is just so amazing. So are there any yoga practices or adaptations that you would suggest for people with brain injury or trauma?
Okay, so see, when you are in an injury or you are undergoing trauma, you cannot be too physically active. So for them, there is something known as Yoga Nidra, which is a guided meditation or a guided, dhyana that we say, and simple pranayama along with the mudras. But again, people who are already into yoga, coming out of trauma or coming out of, any kind of injury, it becomes easier because there's an example in my family. My husband, he was riding his bike, and out of nowhere there was a wire on the road which got tangled on his tire, and he came flying down, and it was like a very bad shoulder dislocation. So since he is into yoga and meditation, our whole family is. So he came out of it in a month. I mean, it was not even a trauma. He was very positive about it. So I've seen examples like the same way with my mom. She fell down, there was a wrist fracture, and she came out of it. She's 73, and she's like, in a month's time, she's walking around, she's doing all her daily chores. So coming out of trauma, she's also a meditator. So I have seen this in my family, and I've seen this with my students as well. Practicing regular yoga, it does help you come out of this brain injury trauma very easily, because you're always in that positive approach, and you're mentally very active. You keep rewiring and rejuvenating yourself. So that's what I have seen at home and with my students. So it does help, yes.
Thank you so much for sharing those personal examples. I think yoga essentially almost builds like resilience within your body. So no matter like what you end up facing, you're almost able to overcome it much more faster, much more quicker compared to those that maybe don't follow yoga. And I think that's just really an encouraging note for everyone to, start yoga practices, even if it's like the smallest thing. So yoga is often, touched upon for its stress reducing benefits. So how exactly does it work to reduce cortisol and really help with overall emotional balance?
Right. So again, I would like to start with an example. So if you see all the Indian gods or all the mythological characters, they are always drawn or predicted with a third eye. So if you see Lord Shiva or Lord Durga, there is an eye here that is drawn right in between your eyes and the eyebrows, which is known as the Agya chakra or the third eye chakra. So scientifically, again, there is a scientific aspect to it. The pituitary gland, the pineal gland is activated when you are doing your dhyana or your pranayama or your asanas in a particular way. So if you see the scientific side of it, it is the hypothalamic pituitary adrenaline system, which is responsible for balancing your hormones. So when that is regulated, the hormone management and the this adrenaline system, so the cortisol levels are automatically they are reduced because this third eye chakra is activated. So that is how the Yoga Shastra helps in that, and also it improves intuition, it improves clarity of thoughts and awareness. That also helps in reducing your stress, because ultimately you keep telling yourself after every yoga session, your body keeps telling you, your mind keeps telling you that this is what it is. You got to accept it. There's no use, bringing the roof down, because nothing's going to happen. Just chill. That's it. This is going to happen. We're going to deal it in a particular way. So with every abhyasa, if you get into yoga practice, this is the lesson that you keep getting every single day. That there's no use taking stress. You're going to deal. You're going to sail through. So that way, I think it reduces the cortisol levels. And if you see a yogi, is always like a laughing Buddha. So yeah, that's how it works. Yeah.
Yeah, that's amazing. I think the fact that it can, really help to reduce those cortisol levels is very important. Again, once again, we have a really, really fast-paced world. Like teens are just working, adults are just working even more. And even if you're a senior, nowadays, even seniors are working, even they're not taking a rest and taking a break. So I think the fact that it can reduce stress for everyone is really beneficial. So, what role does yoga play in building mental resilience? And how can it help cope better with chronic stress or even extremely large life challenges?
Okay, so one more aspect of yoga is called the nadis. Okay, so these nadis are energy channels in your body. Maybe these sound very, traditional and old school, but they are very scientific, surprisingly, as I told you. Thing is, there is something also known as the chakras. As I mentioned, the third chakra, third eye chakra, there are six more chakras in the body, which are usually clogged for a person who is stressed, for a person who is not able to adapt to the situation around. They get very disturbed. So suddenly anything happens, they're like, it affects them a lot, because their chakras are clogged, their nadis are not the energy is not flowing through the nadis the way it should flow. So when you do an asana or when you are doing your yoga practice, what happens is the chakras are unclogged. Chakras get activated. It's like the switch is off, the light switch is off, and you just turn on the switch. What happens? It gets bright. So exactly these are like the switches in your body. And when you do a particular asana, when you do your yoga practice, it just turns on and starts glowing. So once that happens, you get that, power, as in it's not that you're going to fly like a Superman, but yeah, mentally you feel that you are flying, you are elevated, you are reaching that level of intuition or mental clarity. that indecisiveness goes off, the getting affected and succumbing to the external aspect goes off. So that way, mental resilience, yoga helps in that way. And as I said, it's always called we always stay in the present. So it's like a gift. That's why it's called the present. So gift. So you were never in your past, or you're never thinking about your future. So you have that ability to adapt and recover from a situation and maintain your mental health through Yoga Shastra.
That's amazing that yoga can help to build mental resilience. And thanks for that amazing example as well, especially with the light switch on and off. I think that probably would have helped everyone understand, what those chakras are and how yoga helps to activate them throughout our entire body. So thanks for that amazing explanation. So, for someone that's new to yoga, what are some simple practices or even poses that you'd recommend that they start off with so that they can improve their overall brain health?
Okay, so the basic asanas are the ones that are there in the Surya Namaskara. So the Surya Namaskara is, or the sun salutation, is group of 12 asanas curated in a way, one after the other. If you do it in that particular order, it activates your chakras. All the good things happen. Whatever we spoke about, the kleshas go off, the koshas you explore, and all those things that I spoke about, the good things that are happening in your nervous system, activation of all these things happen through the Surya Namaskara. So there are solar plexus in our body and also a solar plex chakra here. Which is again activated through the Surya Namaskara. And surprisingly, the Surya Namaskara, although there are 12 asanas in the Surya Namaskara, they're all basic asanas. They are like forward bends, back bends, simple lunges, it's called an Ashtanga Namaskara. It's an eight-limbed, it's a complex posture to start with, but once you get it, I think it is the best posture that is even good for a beginner. So the Surya Namaskara, I think, along with some pranayamas and like 1 minute of meditation, as I mentioned, to start with, can be a good start for a person who's never done yoga before and wants to adapt it. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's amazing. It's definitely an easy way to start. And I think I can relate to that as well, because that's what I started with when I came to your class as well. Watching the tutorials before class and making sure to learn it. I think, it might feel a little challenging when you're starting at first, but once you really get the hang of it, it's just in your mind and you're able to do it very easily. So that's amazing. So, how often should someone really be practicing yoga to potentially see benefits for their brain health and overall mental well-being?
So most of the people, that is majority of the people, think yoga is an extra. Like, it should be done if you get the time, or, if there is convenience. But I think yoga is as important as your daily chores like eating, sleeping, bathing. So it should be as regular as that. So 1 day break in a week is fine, but I think it should be practiced every day. You don't say, right, I have guests at home, so I am not going to take a bath, I'm not going to sleep, I'm not going to eat. So I don't allow my students to give those kind of excuses, because I think it is as important as eating. It's like brain food, as we spoke in the previous questions. It's good for your whole body, and you can handle other things in a better way. So why not? So you have to practice. According to me, it is like it's an everyday thing. It's a basic chore of the day, and you have to do it with that faith, and you have to prioritize it like the basic chores of the day. I think that is when you get to see benefits. It's not like, and also not at the drop of the hat, you won't see. It has to be like consistent and to be done for a longer period to keep seeing the magic, keep, feeling that magic. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that was an amazing metaphor. I mean, I think really do think and I agree with you that yoga can't just be, treated like something that's on the side of your plate. It's not a side dish. It's really like your main dish that you have to just take every day and,
Mhm.
consume and really follow with that practice. And I think that's really when you see those benefits. It's over the long period of time and over consistency. So, can yoga be a useful tool for improving sleep quality? And if so, what practices are particularly helpful for this, especially because sleep quality is a very important part of brain health?
Okay, so let me start with this quote that says, I slept like a baby. So, how does a baby sleep without any stress or, without any thoughts? It's just like all it knows is just has to eat food, and that's it, like, play around. And there's no stress in the mind, there's no tension. So it sleeps, peacefully. So why sleep like a baby? Why don't we sleep like a baby nowadays? Because of so many thoughts because of so many worries and tensions and stress. And as you said, even teens, the elderly, everyone is like, biting more than that, more than they can chew. So that is the problem today. And of course, we should keep ourselves busy. We should do what we like. But people who practice yoga, what happens is the melatonin levels, they increase in the body, and that reduces the sleep disturbances. So it is like when you do, I know when you do our classes, when we, when my students tell me, it's like you get a massage done. You just call someone to get a massage done, and it's like your whole body has just been massaged. But that kind of relaxation you feel physically and mentally, of course, as I said, the baby mind, it keeps that childlike brain alive in you because you're not thinking anything much. So that is why your sleep quality is better. You sleep more, you sleep easily, and these problems are not there. Even if you see in those days when the pressure was less, work pressure, our grandparents, they never had, these were not even a matter of concern. They just used to go lie down and hop. They're like asleep. So nowadays, because of, as you said, all these things that we are doing and we are, into, that is why the sleep problems are coming. But yes, if you are practicing, if you're a yogi, automatically sleep should not be a problem at all.
Yeah, I think I can definitely relate to that as well. Just practicing yoga itself, like during that present moment, you're just so calm. You have nothing else that's going on in your mind. And I think everybody would love to sleep like a baby too. So I think that's just another motivator to start practicing yoga. So with that being said, how does the brain's response to yoga differ from other forms of exercise, especially in terms of cognitive and emotional benefits?
Okay, so yoga is the only workout that doesn't work on your muscles alone. It is a holistic approach. It, as we spoke so much about mental health, of course, that being a bigger aspect, it also works on your spiritual, side. Spiritual side is nothing but the, as I said, you explore yourself and you connect within yourself. That is the spiritual approach. The emotional aspect it works on, and of course the physical. It massages your organs, the internal organs as well, which the other workouts cannot do. So the asanas are curated in a way that, as I just heard another podcast where a person said that, when I do other forms of workouts, yeah, my muscles are toned, I have cuts, but I cannot, massage my spleen. So I really found that very relatable because the yoga does massage your internal organs, your digestive system, your lungs, everything. There are asanas. If you do the camel pose, for example, when you do that back bend, your lungs are like massaged. So that is why it is different from other cardio and other physical forms of workout because this is like all in one, complete package, you can say. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's really amazing, especially because we don't have a lot of time now. So it's like 20, 30 minutes, maybe an hour at max. So I think doing something that's, like a very holistic approach can be very beneficial, not just for our muscles, but also for the internal aspects of our body. So that's amazing. So, do you believe that integrating yoga into our daily routine can help to delay or even prevent the onset of cognitive decline, especially as we age?
Mhm. So, see, as we spoke, like all the things that we spoke about, sleeping like a baby, stress-free mind, it is like when a lot of things are going on around you, it's just like when you're a yogi, it's just like you're wearing earpods and you're listening to your favorite music. So what happens is researchers have also shown that you start reverse aging when you do yoga. So why do you reverse age? One, your organs are preserved. Your mind and your body is like your mind is of course childlike, and your body, since the organs are getting preserved, what happens is you get that youth, and you're always like at your active best, and you're not thinking too much, and all the good things are happening with you. So that feel good factor is there. After a yoga session, just as I said, you get a massage done, you get that feel good factor, like wow, life is great. That kind of thing you get, and so that is why it has been proven that if you see people who are into yoga, they don't usually age that fast. That's why I tell my teen students like you that you'll have started at the right age. You're always going to be sweet 16. So that is the beauty of yoga. Yes.
Yeah, that's really amazing, especially, the idea of, almost like reverse aging. You're always going to be in that state of youth. I think that's something that just about everybody wants, right? So I think the fact that yoga can give that to us, that's just absolutely amazing. So are there any other holistic practices that's maybe aside from yoga that also helps to complement brain health and kind of helps work well together?
Okay, so if you ask me, I think I'm not too much for the artificial ways of working out, like gymming, if you see. See, with due respect to all the other workouts, I think all of them are artificial because, lifting weights, which are like not a part, like in yoga, we lift our own body weight. So that is natural. So similarly, swimming. But swimming, if you see, it should be done in the natural waters, which is not a possibility today because there are swimming pools and they're not as hygienic as the flowing waters and stuff. And there are like what I would say, which can come close to yoga is maybe trekking in the mountains. There is fresh air. There's a lot of oxygen. You are climbing, those rocks. So I think that is a good activity. Walking, daily walking, and occupational activities again, which we can do nowadays because of the machines that have come. So we do it in asanas. So I think simple walk or maybe trekking in the nature should be not equivalent to yoga, but yeah, something that you can do as an alternative. Yes.
That's amazing. I think it's almost like anything that's very naturalistic is what allows for that holistic practice. And I think, again, like you said before, yoga is the one that touches just about every aspect of the body. So it's almost incomparable to any other alternative. So, what advice would you give to someone who's interested in using yoga to improve their brain health, but doesn't really know where to begin?
Okay, so come join us at the myth. Okay, the jokes apart, I think you should learn yoga from the right teacher because my personal experience again as a teen, I used to think that yoga is mundane, it is boring, and that is what most of the teens think, especially in India. If you see, it is conveniently brushed under the carpet. It is originated in India, and Indians are like, most of them don't even know about it. And those who know about it, they know it as this, boring, monotonous activity. Oh my God, yoga, no, that's for old people, right? So get the right teacher who brings it across to you in the right way, making it interesting for you, or perhaps, it's like they say guru. So I learned from initially, maybe some were, great, some were like, they got it across in the right, way, or some were like, it was mundane for me. And I thought, initially that, oh, okay, fine, it's okay. Then when I got the right teacher, I was like, oh, okay, fine, this is interesting. That is how the transformation happens. So don't give up when you just start learning and you feel that, oh, it is boring. Keep changing your teachers, explore more opportunities of learning yoga in the right way. And as they say, guru means a person who removes darkness from your life. So get the right guru. And I think if you learn it from the right person, you will see that it works like magic and it is nowhere near boring. It is very interesting. And it's like, it takes you to a different level altogether. So it is like an addiction. Once you start loving it, it's like an addiction and it's a good addiction. So nobody's going to tell you that, oh, you're addicted to it. You should not be addicted to it. So it's so good to be addicted to something. It's like a drug. So it's like a good drug. So why not? So yeah, that's what I would
Yeah.
say.
I think I can
Yeah.
definitely relate to just about every single word that you just spoke. I was definitely one of those teens who also thought, yoga is maybe for old people and it's probably not the most, best and most fun thing that I can be doing, especially for that 1 hour. But I think after joining those classes and, doing all the fun sequences where I'm either jumping around the room or, just about any sequence that we've done, I think I've always had some kind of fun that's really been tied to it. So I think it's really just the idea of, getting started. And then after you've really started, it's just, you can't really stop. So if people do want to reach out to you, how should they do so?
So we have our Insta page, that is myth yoga, myth.yoga, the Insta handle. And also you can, I think that is the best way to reach out to me. You can just message me, drop in a message, and I can share my number with you and we can get started.
Yeah, I'll
Yeah.
definitely link the Instagram handle to the description of this podcast. And with that being said, I just wanted to say, Ms. Shankar, thank you so much for taking your time to really be on this Cognitive Connections podcast. It was just truly awesome to learn about the intersection between yoga and the brain health and just about how many different benefits that comes with doing yoga practices.
Thank you so much, Nandita. In fact, even I have a question for you because you are one of my favorite students, and that is also because the way you do the asanas so gracefully. So I want to ask you, as a dancer, you're learning your Bharatnatyam, which is again a very beautiful dance form. How do you find Bharatnatyam and yoga? Like, do you think they go hand in hand? And what do you think are the similarities between the two? And how does Bharatnatyam help you to do asanas? How does asana help you to do Bharatnatyam?
Okay,
I would like
so
to ask you that.
so
Yes.
actually starting off with how asanas helped me do Bharatanatyam, I think asanas have made me so much more flexible. There were things that just last year I couldn't do, like lifting up my leg for a couple of the poses that I recently actually was able to do for a dance. So I think doing something like that, I definitely wouldn't have been able to do just last year because I was struggling with it last year, to be honest. And then this year, I lifted up my leg and I was able to hold it easily for, like a minute. So it's something that just came with doing yoga. And I think it made me so much more flexible. And some of the dance poses are just go so much hand in hand, like Tandavasana, which is, supposed to be like Shiva's pose. We've done all of that with dance as well. So I think when the fact that they go hand in hand, I think that's what helps me do both of them. And I think that just made it so much more easier. And really the fact it's just really fun doing both at the end of the day. It's not just that we do, one asana in yoga. It's a sequence of different asanas. And I think that's how dance is too. It's a sequence of movements. It's not just you're standing in one place and you're just doing one little step at a time. But when it's all connected together, I think that's just what motivates me to keep going. And that's what makes it more fun as well. Yeah.
So nice to know that.
Yeah.
Nice.
Thanks for asking the question. So I just wanted to say again, thank you so much. And for everyone here today, thank you so much for listening to the Cognitive Connections podcast. And really remember to keep your brain healthy and incorporate yoga into your daily life. With that being said, see you next time.